Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to make some mob bass and we're going to make some Detroit bass. I just got off of the IG message with JP Bangs, who produced for Jay Stalin and a lot of other dope West Coast artists. And he asked me a question about some other stuff, but it reminded me about the sound of that West Coast sound and mob music. Shout out to Infinite and Lifestyle did it. So you guys can learn a ton more from the guys who do this every day. But I want to show you guys an Arteria plugin called Acid. This is Acid 5. So this is modeled after the Roland TB303, which is a drum machine, or excuse me, not a drum machine, a synthesizer, a sequencer, basically, that creates these like acid type sounds like this. Okay, so what we want to do is turn off the sequencer mode, put this on EXT so that we could just play our notes as is. Now, this is where the sound design comes into play. If you switch the waveform to a sawtooth, you get more of a bitey tone. Okay, you get that bitey tone. If you switch it to the square wave, you get more of a creamier sound, more of a hollowed sound, I'll say. And so let's start with the bitey sound, and we want the sub oscillator to be a sine wave so that it just enhances the low end, and then we can pull the octave one octave lower. We'll fix the tone. Actually, let's keep it at 0 for now. Nextly, these are the main knobs here. So the cutoff, the resonance, and the envelope mod. So the envelope mod determines how high of a frequency do we want the filter cutoff to go. So for example, if I wanted to go wow like that, I'm going to turn this all the way up. If I just wanted to go whoom like that, I'm going to turn this down. So this is how you kind of tone down the harmonics in the sound, basically. So let's turn it all the way down. Let's turn the resonance down. Now, resonance is what gives it that TB303 sound. And you can do this with other synths, but this synth is built for this sound. And the cutoff frequency determines the minimum value for the cutoff. So if we lower this, we're going to get it go boom, boom. It's going to go lower and lower. If I have this higher, it's not going to go all the way down to our West Coast type sound. Now we could turn off the distortion. I think accents only work with the sequencer. So now we have that Detroit-esque sound. We're going to turn on what's called the oscillator here. This is going to thicken up the sound, and you can go lower depending on which notes you're playing. I'm playing a pretty low octave, but if I was up here and we needed more bass, I might go an octave lower just to fill it out a little bit more, but 0 is fine. So what we'll do is we'll turn off distortion for now. Let's go to the advanced tab and let's add some more effects. So this was also paired, especially in like West Coast and Detroit stuff, we're going to pair this with some kind of chorusing. So let's switch these effects over to a chorus of some sort, whether Juno chorus, super unison even. And now we're going to widen out the sound. This is that Bay Area Taiga type sound. And we could blend the dry wet level here. So it's just widening out the sound. Now if we want more high frequencies, we're going to pull back distortion. But again, the magic to the sound is this resonance along with this lowered cutoff point. Now, if we're going to Detroit, then we're going to turn up the resonance. There is this more of a resonant, bitey sound. And they might have their envelope turned up. So let's just record both. Let's tap out that tempo. So again, 2 different tempos for their genre. Somewhere around 110. Let's just start there. So that's more of a Detroit approach. Let's quantize this to the grid real quick and just show you guys. Now, if I start lowering the envelope, we're getting more of a West Coast sound, even with the same notes. Simply just harmonic content. I don't know why some notes hit that like loud note, whereas others don't. Like right there. Not sure why. I guess maybe that is what the accent's for. Now let's open this up and let's make some West Coast mob type bass. Now they're at a different BPM. They're at like 93 BPM, 91. Okay, so let's go to acid and we're going to make, okay. So the bass is usually wow. It's usually Tresillo bass. So let's take off the sequencer and we'll take off the effects. For now, let's just add the notes. All right, so I just added some different notes in here. So now firstly, let's go to the advanced tab, take off these effects. We want to take off all this extra stuff. We don't need all this delay and reverb and stuff. Now it just depends on what style of West Coast you're going for. Let's say you're going for like, I forget their crew, like Livewire. Let's increase what's called the decay curvature. So instead of going, it's going to go wow, wow. It's going to take a longer time to fade. And then this is also a good time to increase the resonance, because when you have a longer time for the sound to like animate, you can really take advantage of the resonance. Let's lower the cutoff here. So I'm not hearing the decay change. Maybe because maybe that's what. Okay, so accent, this is handling what's called the transient. So that does actually do something. I'm not sure as I'm playing the notes. So I'm not sure what's causing it to, let's look under the hood. Maybe there's a sequencer that's blocking me from doing something here. Certain notes are muted and certain notes aren't. So I'm not sure why that is. Let's figure out why. Oh, I see why. If you hit a certain velocity, it plays a mute. Okay. So I played these notes too hard. So this is kind of different. I've never seen it being used this way. Long story short, we're just going to lower the velocity so that it has that long decay curvature that you guys hear. And we can really make it gritty by turning up the resonance here and lowering the cutoff. So now it goes like, it's a very 80s lasery way to go about it. And it sounds more gritty because now you're using more ear candy. And we can also use this sub oscillator to add more grit, which is if we switch it to a sawtooth, we're going to get really bitey tones. If we go with the sine wave, we're going to get more smooth tones. And we can also change the tuning of the actual, the main oscillator here. Now pulse waves are, if I had to define it, I would say this is more of a Bay Area sound because it uses what's called phase interference to create the sound. Let's mess with this. See what. Switch out the saturation style here. Alright, so there's a lot of styles. Crunch. So these all create a higher harmonic distortion. So this can add that grit. Let's go back to the advanced tab. Let's add some chorus. Because right now it just sounds very centered. Let's pull back the dry level. And this will widen out the sound. Alright, so I feel like the sound could be a lot bigger in terms of volume here. Let's play some piano with this. Also, too, I'm going to pull these back down an octave. Alright, so what did we play? The chord D? Okay. And now you have your melody over top if we recorded this. So let's turn this into something just to like finalize this idea. Let's record these. I'm just playing D minor and D suspended second here as the chords. All right, so we have the chords, and now we need a top line. So if I were to, turn this into a track, we would have top line. Let's call this the harmony section. Now we need to create a top line, and then we're gonna do rhythm. I may or may not add drums to this, but the rhythm would go underneath. So that's the top line. Now we're just rush through that top line, but now we have a full West Coast sound and beat just from those concepts. So now we can shape this bass a little bit better. So the bass sounds good. It's just a little too wide. So let's pull it back from being so wide. Let's give it a little more drive. This is a little too. And let's go back to shape the curvature here. So this is how you guys can start shaping your sounds here. Let's make it more bitey actually with the sawtooth. Therefore we get that bitey sound back. Now I wish the sub was a little more powerful. So you might have to boost that, with an EQ. See if we can do it from within the plugin here. So it's kind of hard to tell where we are, so okay, so we're at 60 hertz. Let's boost this up. And then that's that extra low end that we need. Now, most people might not like that distortion. So let's just keep it normal. And let's keep messing with this cutoff filter. And the decay curvature until we get the sound in the sweet spot. See, if we have the envelope too low, you lose the sound because it doesn't have enough harmonics. So that's why some people crank up the resonance. So it just depends on the context, really. And now we have that bitey sound. So that's how you guys customize the sound. Now the Detroit, I don't know if they make Detroit at 93 BPM. Let's see if we can. I doubt it. I think we have to be higher BPM, but let's just see. All right, so let's. All right, so I know what we could do to make it more Detroit. Let's add more note values here. Let's do this again. I recorded the piano by accident. So something weird about the velocity. So this is one note I'll say to you guys is you got to be really careful about the velocity, because if you trigger it too high, it creates this palm mute sound, and that's not what I want. So just keep that in mind when you guys are recording using this plugin specifically. You have to play a lower velocity. All right, so I guess I quantized too much. See how we played that low. So it's not going to be perfect here because I'm sacrificing some of the. All right, now it's at this top line. Dun, 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 dun. That's Detroit very top line focused. This tutorial ended up being way more than bass, but it is what it is. Probably should have thought about the next line before I did that. Let's practice that. Let's do double recordings. All right, so, and then we would normally speed this up. All right, so let me put it in the real octave here. I mean the real tempo, which is like 1. Now we have Detroit, just like that. So same type of bass, just used differently. Mainly the pattern is more of a double hit for the Detroit sound. Now the Detroit sound still needs a little more energy behind it. Let's try some distortions here. Like these distortions are more techno sounding. Tape kind of pulls out the harmonics without being. So hopefully you guys can hear the difference. Let's go all the way back. I know this isn't the full tutorial here with the drums, but so here's the West Coast approach. I might pause the video to add some drums so that we don't eat up any more time. Alright, so let me pause the video, add some drums just for the video. Alright, so now we have the drums. Here's a more full picture of what it sounds like in context. See, we have the down bass and we have the 808 underneath. Here's the Detroit. So on Detroit, I found that you don't normally layer that bass, whereas the West Coast, you can layer both the sub bass and the main bass. Okay, so that's the main difference between the two genres if I had to label it. Didn't expect this video to go this long, but share with a friend, like this video, and peace out, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.